In this video, I tell you how I would retcon the Timeless Child story arc out of Doctor Who. Coming up. What's up everybody and welcome to Sao Til I, celebrating the awesomeness that is the TV show Doctor Who. On this channel I produce videos all about Doctor Who, from show news, episode reviews, fan theories, reaction videos and everything else in between, so if you're new here please consider subscribing. Right, we are in the promised land, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Chibnall has waved his goodbye to Doctor Who, Jodie Whittaker has regenerated into the 14th Doctor, and the BBC is no longer meddling with the storylines. We are back to what it used to be. Yay! We're going to own this mistake, we're going to own this problem, and we're going to fix it. And we're going to fix it quite simply by declaring it was all a dream. No, not that kind of dream. A different kind of dream. Now bear with me. You see, this is how I want to do it. I actually want to start by retracing our steps slightly and going back to the episode of season 9, Hellbent. Now, if you remember from that episode, the Doctor had just arrived on Gallifrey. We found out Gallifrey was no longer in its own pocket universe anymore, and it was way over there in the far reaches of time and space. Long story short, but the Doctor expelled Rassilon from Gallifrey, and Rassilon went off in his little shuttle and we never saw him again. This is where I want the seeds of the Timeless Child retcon to start. Now, if you remember in that episode, the Time Lord soldiers and the Time Lords sided with the Doctor against Rassilon, and Rassilon was expelled. But then the Doctor left as well, and now that left a bit of a power vacuum. Who was left to head up the High Council? Who was left to take over power on Gallifrey? Now that's the idea and the concept I want to start with. You see, what I want to see happen here is that an individual rises to power on Gallifrey and takes over control. And that character I want to call, for the benefit of this video, I want to call the Overseer. He could be called anything, but for this storyline he is going to be called the Overseer. Now the Overseer, the vision of the character I've got in my head is, if you are a comics fan, specifically if you're a Batman fan, you'll know a villain in the Batman comics and the cartoons and things like that called Hugo Strange. Now Hugo Strange is effectively a scientist type character who experiments on, not only on Batman, but he also experiments on criminals and the criminally insane as well. And that's the kind of character I want the Overseer to be. Someone who is not afraid to experiment on other alien races, but also on his own people. He is brought to power with the support of the Time Lords, who want to go back to the old days of Gallifreyan society and Time Lord society, where the Time Lords were quite omnipotent beings and meddled in other races and meddled with other aliens in order to further their own knowledge, or just for fun, or things like that. So if you remember the Death Zone from the Five Doctors, if you remember the War Chief from the Second Doctor story in the Warlords, they're very much meddling and interfering with the races, but they see themselves as better than everybody else. And that is the wave of popularity that pushes the Overseer into the role of High President of Gallifrey. Where does this fit into retconning the Timeless Child? Well, I said it was going to be a dream, and it's going to be a dream. Season 11 to 13 effectively doesn't really exist. Now, it does exist, but it doesn't exist. See, the reason it doesn't exist is because shortly after the 12th Doctor regenerated into the 13th Doctor, if you remember, was falling out the TARDIS at the end of Twice Upon a Time, and she gets plucked out of that timeline using a time scoop and is transported back to Gallifrey. Due to the regeneration and obviously the time scoop, she is rendered unconscious and never regains consciousness from that point on. Likewise, the Master, and we will assume that Sacha Dhawan is in fact the next incarnation after Missy. Missy is also time scooped from the Mondas spaceship and also transported back to Gallifrey, where she regenerates into Sacha Dhawan's Master. And this time scooping has been done at the behest of the Overseer. You see, the Overseer realises that the Doctor is a threat to his overall power on Gallifrey, and rather than create a martyr out of the Doctor by killing her outright, he decides to do something a little bit more creepy and a little bit more nasty, and that's to take prisoner. He sees an opportunity also to time scoop the Master back to Gallifrey as well, because he knows the Master is quite uncontrollable. So bringing her back to Gallifrey is also something that is proving of use as well. And the reason they're both transported back to Gallifrey is the Overseer wants to experiment on them. And he wants to experiment on them using mind-bending virtual reality type stuff that effectively creates a virtual world within their head, connected to the Matrix maybe, that projects out various different scenarios so that the Overseer can test how the Doctor and how the Master react to different scenarios they come across. For the benefit of season 11, companions are false, all the storylines are false, everything that she has done in that season is really different tests so that the Overseer can really get to understand the Doctor, not only in this incarnation, but how the Doctor as a person over multiple incarnations would react to certain things. Likewise, we don't see it, but he's also been doing it to the freshly regenerated Master as well, and we'll come to where these kind of intersect in a minute. Season 12 rolls around and the Overseer is still manipulating and testing the unconscious Doctor and messing with her mind, and he decides to link up both the Doctor and the Master to see how they both interact together, because he knows from the stories he's heard about the Doctor and the Master being friends whilst on Gallifrey, but also effectively mortal enemies. He wants to see how they react to a certain situation together. Bring in the Timeless Child story arc. You see, the Overseer feeds into the Master simulation, gives him the information about the Timeless Child. It was bizarre how the Master could find out a really deep, dark, hidden secret so quickly, so easily. So the reason in this story that he could find that so easily is because A, the Overseer created it, and B, he just fed it to him. So the Master reacts in the way we saw on TV. He goes mad and he burns down Gallifrey, which is great for the Overseer because he can now see that what the Master will do and how we will react to things is very erratic and very affected by stimulus. And the simulation is then changed, so the unconscious Master intersects with the unconscious Doctor, and the storyline plays out like we've seen on TV. And so we have the Doctor's simulation continues with the revelation about the Ruth Doctor, which again on TV didn't make sense. But in this scenario, it's not meant to make sense because the Overseer is once again testing the Doctor to see how she'll react to a long forgotten regeneration that she didn't think she has, which leads up quite nicely to the end of season 12, which is the season reveal about the Timeless Child and the Doctor being this ever regenerating super being. Now this is where, of course, it is the ultimate test for the Doctor, because the Overseer is trying to see how she reacts to a revelation this big. Really, if you're going to make the entire 13th Doctor tenure as we know it so far effectively null and void, you have to create something that gives some kind of ownership and gives some kind of credibility to the 13th Doctor. And the way you can do that, you can actually make the 13th Doctor be the one to discover the big lie and have her kind of reveal what's going on maybe at the end of season 13, and have her regeneration into the 14th Doctor be part of that reveal, so she doesn't come across as basically someone who didn't really cotton on, because the Doctor is supposed to be quite a clever individual. You can actually go one step further and not have all the companions be constructs at all. You can actually have them being Time Lord agents, and they were actually projected into the virtual world that the Doctor's mind was kind of connected to. If you are going to bring the Time Lord agent doppelgangers of the companions in and make them real people rather than virtual constructs, then having the 13th Doctor interact with them rather than the next Doctor would be really good as well, because again you're going to get that immediate reaction that the 13th Doctor, who has lived with these people for so long, realising they're not real and the fact that they are Time Lord agents, is going to be better than having someone who's kind of lived it secondhand, if you know what I mean. Fast forward to a regeneration. The 13th Doctor's regenerated, not really care how she does it, but she's regenerated into whoever, and we learn the fact that everything we've known over the past 2 or 3 years has been a lie. But we also importantly learn who is behind that lie. The new big bad for season 14, the Overseer. The Doctor is effectively the catalyst that created this new power on Gallifrey, and it's up to the Doctor and possibly the Master, who's going to be a little bit annoyed that he's been experimented on yet again, it's up to them to try and bring the Overseer down and bring back Gallifrey to what it used to be. There are some really good little storylines you can have about the Doctor escaping Gallifrey and the Overseer using not only the power of the Time Lords, but using rogue aliens, maybe aliens we know such as Sontarans, maybe the Ice Warriors, other things like that to chase the Doctor down over time and space. The Overseer as a big bad could last for more than one season. It's actually quite good to have something new and a different way of doing things rather than the usual kind of format of the Doctor just turning up on different worlds every episode. If you had a whole season where the Doctor is continuously on the run, continuously on the move, that would revitalise the storylines in some way and do something a little bit different, but that also fits into the canon and the traditional episodes that we've seen from New Who, rather than this kind of new way of doing things that the BBC is intent on doing at the moment. Right, what do you think of my concept for retconning the Timeless Child story arc? Would this be the way you would do it? Let me know in the comments below about how you would retcon this storyline. Likewise, leave a comment in the comments below and let me know if you would want to retcon this storyline at all, or would you just want to forget it altogether. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this channel, and if you appreciate this video, please give it a like. Sao Til is all about celebrating the awesomeness is a TV show Doctor Who. I'll be back soon with some more Doctor Who related videos. Until then, cheerio for now, bye bye.